Well, pretty much we have ethical hacking and cybersecurity. So let's take a deeper dive and take a look at what we are going to learn and why do we actually need cybersecurity within the actual industry. As our host has mentioned, my name is Glenn Singh. I'm actually a cybersecurity trainer slash information security author. I also do various work within the industry, helping organizations lock down their network, prevent threats, and so on. But let's actually dive in to figure out how we could be an ethical hacker. Let's jump in. Pretty much whenever we do a little Google search, we'll always see these type of keywords. We see things like internet, we see cybersecurity, we see root, we see things like Trojan, and then we have this funny word right here. I think you guys seen it. I think about it, right? All of these things here, we actually need to protect ourselves and organizations. So let's start to talk about like what exactly are some of these keywords. As many of you guys know, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, right? We always say we don't have nothing to lose, as in my phone don't have nothing to take, my network don't have anything to take at all. But until we actually get hacked and our systems are compromised and we realize that, hey, our data is actually leaked somewhere, then we realize the value of that data, right? When we talk about cybersecurity, we're talking about all types of digital threats. We're talking about various types of cyber attacks, hackers. We're even talking about disgruntled employees who are within our organization who, let's say, wants to actually take down the network before that person actually leave, right? Overall, it's various type of attacks, such as malware, right? What exactly is malware? We hear in the word viruses, then we hear in the word malware. What exactly is the difference? Well, to put simply, viruses are simply designed to actually compromise, let's say, an application running on your actual computer. However, with malware, it's like viruses, but on steroids, actually. So with malware, it has multiple functionality. And one very common malware that many organizations actually very, like has a lot of fear of is actually called ransomware. I'm pretty sure that some of you guys heard about ransomware or may have actually worked for an organization that is actually affected by ransomware. So the thing is, right, what exactly is ransomware? Ransomware is actually designed by hackers and is actually a special group of hackers known as the organized crime group. And these are pretty much a group of skilled individuals, and each person actually has a particular skill set, such as one person would focus on information gathering. Another person might focus on creating the actual exploit. Another person might focus on, let's say, malware engineering. And most importantly, when it comes to actually organized crime, and yes, we do have organized crime in the field of cybersecurity. So when it comes to organized crime, there's a very important person. And that person is the person who funds the actual group. Because for a hacking group to be really good, they will need various types of resources, such as the right set of skill set, together with funding if they actually need to get any sort of tools, whether it's a software-based tool or even a hardware-based tool to actually perform the actual attack. So then let's track back and ask the main question. Why does people hack? Like, why does someone want to hack? Oh, guys, and by the way, if you will have any questions, feel free to post it in chat because we actually have our AMA session coming on at the end. So any questions whatsoever, feel free to utilize the chat, post it there, and I'll try to answer as much as I can. All right. So back to the main question, why does someone hack? Why do you want to be a hacker? To put simply, right, many people hack for various reasons. It could be for fun, it could be for challenges, it could just be that you actually want to do some type of harm to someone else's system or computers or even steal data. But overall, hacking actually become actual industry now, right? Where let's say that you get a ransomware and the ransomware will encrypt all the data on your hard drive. However, the hackers will be able to exfiltrate. Exfiltrate meaning that they will extract all of that data from your system, your network, and they will get a copy of it. So when they extract all this data, what exactly are they doing with it? Well, I'm pretty sure many of you guys heard about the, let's say, the special area in the internet called the dark web, right? Well, there's a deep web and there's a dark web. Pretty much on the dark web, that's where you could do anything, you could get anything done, you could buy anything. So on the dark web, a lot of bad things happen. Like you can hire assassins, you could buy drugs, you could buy weapons, you could look at very gruesome videos, and everything is being sold for a price. And on the dark web, actually is cryptocurrency. So just to give you guys a little example, a couple of months ago, I'm not sure if you guys ever heard, but there was this really large financial organization. Well, to be specific, it's a really large regional organization that actually got hacked in one of the Caribbean islands. When they got hacked, well, of course, ransomware, their data was stolen, and guess where it ended up? It ended up in the dark web. And why does hackers put your data in the dark web? Well, the thing about it, there are other people and other organizations out there that actually want to purchase your data to use it for identity theft. So how does this actually affect let's say, a common individual? Well, let's say, for example, that you do business with company A, and company A is storing all your personal information, right? Such as your name, your address, probably your banking details, and all other personal details that could be actually used to identify you. And this is actually called PII, which is personally identifiable information, right? So you are doing business with various organizations that are storing all relevant data that can identify you as an individual very easily. So let's imagine that you're trusting this company to keep your data safe, but company A may not even take cybersecurity serious. And many organizations and many leadership teams within organizations will say, our network is secure. In reality, nothing is 100% secure. It is only a matter of time for an actual threat actor, such as a hacker, to actually find some type of weakness and actually exploit that weakness. And once that person gets into your network or your system, guess what? That is where things start to get really, really bad. So back to the little scenario, right? You're doing business with company A gets hacked. All the data of their customers are now leaked on the internet. And you're probably thinking, okay, someone has my name. What's the most they can do? Well, they can do identity theft on various online websites, and they could pretend to be you. And the cool thing about this is they have your name, your address, your email, your date of birth. And if you have any sort of, let's say, pay slip that will contain any sort of financial records, what about your social security number? All of this is being leaked, right? Now, the cool thing is that in various countries, like around the world, there are certain laws that enforces companies to actually abide by certain regulation standards. So, for example, right, most people has a bank account, right, and your bank has very sensitive data about you as a customer, right? It contains all your identity information. The bank actually knows how much money you actually make, your account numbers, how your income and revenue is generated, and how your spending pattern actually is located. Well, in terms of the allocation, like how often you spend on stuff, right? So imagine that a bank actually gets hacked, right? All this data with thousands upon thousands of employees will actually be. Now, just one second, guys. I've seen a little. Okay, right. So yes, guys, utilize the chat as much as you can, right? And we'll take all the questions and try to answer them as much as we can at the end of the session, right? All right. So imagine the bank actually gets hacked. All this data is leaked, all your financial records are actually leaked. And you as an individual, you can't do anything to actually stop it because you are putting this trust into the organization. So a really good example is organizations, well, financial institutions that actually do some type of, let's say, payment card transaction, right? So in other words, if you live in Trinidad, you'll have a link, it's a links card, but we are familiar with Visa cards and MasterCard. So imagine the systems that are actually handling the entire payment process needs to be something called PCI DSS compliant. And many leadership team will focus on being compliant towards some type of industry or regulatory standard, right? One of which is PCI DSS, and that is used to actually help protect organizations that handle payment card transactions. The thing about it, this means that every single aspect from the device, which is a point of sale device that has to actually swipe the card, that has to be compliant. Now, the thing about being compliant is compliant don't always ensure perfect security, right? Compliance simply means that you are meeting the minimum requirements to pass this compliance test. However, right, like minimum is like okay, but you always want to go beyond, because why? Better security is always a good thing. All right. So the thing about it is that I sure that you guys notice that I actually highlight this word right here. So why did I highlight that? All right. Well, to be specific, right? Many people take photos and store it on their phones. They probably will upload it to, let's say, some type of cloud platform, right? I'm not sure if you guys remember, but some years ago, a lot of celebrities' accounts got hacked. Like I think it was their iCloud account actually got hacked, right? And many photos were leaked, right? Now, these are people that trusted the system and whatnot, right? And that type of hack, well, okay, it was like really simple, right? All it takes is social engineering, which is manipulating a person to click in something and, password reveal and so on, right? However, right? However, before you upload data, it doesn't matter what type of data, whether it's photos, it could be documents or whatever it is, right? We like to upload our stuff in some type of online cloud storage platform. Think about this, right? You uploading all your photos onto, let's say, a cloud platform, and all it takes is for someone to get your username and password, and they'll get access into your account. That's all it takes, right? What about Facebook and LinkedIn, probably Twitter, Instagram, right? Many people like to be on social media for various, let's say for various like purposes. It could be for personal branding. It could be for connecting with friends, sharing photos and sharing memories with other persons as well, right? And I have seen many local businesses, their Facebook pages compromised. Up until I think just recently, I actually got a couple of calls where persons' business Facebook pages were compromised. Now, the thing about it is this, right? Many online accounts are only safeguarded by a simple username and password. And it's really easy to actually get someone username and password. Now, I know I keep on saying easy. So what do I mean by easy? There's a technique called social engineering, which is pretty much hacking the human mind, right? So it doesn't require any sort of, let's say, computers or any sort of device at all, right? It is literally psychological manipulation, right? So it's like asking someone a question without they realizing it's a question that you are trying to extract data from them. So let's say that you are trying to get an example of how old someone is. Well, you could probably start to talk about Betamax, VCRs. Yeah. So like if you begin to talk about Betamax, and I'm not sure if some of you guys know what a Betamax is, but a Betamax is a really, really old device that was pre-VCR. So if you begin to talk about Betamax and talk about movies that were shown back in 1970s and 1980s, and the person who you are conversing with is actually fully engaged into the conversation, and let's say they actually admit that they actually own one, then you get an idea of how old this person is. Now, that's just a really, really simple way of doing it. But social engineering also goes a step further where you could actually use computers. So I'm pretty sure that some of you all get what we call spam emails that seem to be originating from, let's say, various reputable organizations such as banks, right? You probably get text messages from certain banks that saying, hey, click here to reset your password or something in that sense. Well, those are what we call phishing. And that is social engineering using some type of, digital medium to see, right? So once you click on one of those links, a couple of things could happen, right? So the social engineering attack is not actually successful unless you actually click the link. So once you click the link, then some type of actions actually happen where, let's say, a malware actually downloads on your system and actually executes. And that could actually be, let's say, a ransomware. Another example is that you could be redirected to some sort of fake website that seems to actually look legitimate that will ask you for, let's say, a username or password. And the cool thing is this, right? If you as a victim enter your username and password, right, the site will redirect you to the actual legitimate website. So you will think the username and password is not actually entered properly, but guess what? The hackers actually record your username and password and they will log into your account. So that brings me down to talking about how do we prevent what we call account takeovers, right? So account takeovers are pretty much where someone actually gain access to your online account. So I'm pretty sure that some of you guys heard about something called multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication, right? So let me just open my web browser. I just want to show you guys something here, right? So multi-factor authentication simply means that you need to provide multiple methods to actually prove your identity to a system, right? So there's something called a Google Authenticator, and you can actually use this for free. So Microsoft has an authenticator, Google has their own, and there are various other trusted organizations out there that actually has an authenticator. So how does it actually works is that all you need is just the authenticator app on your device, and you could add multiple accounts to this authenticator. So after you enter, let's say your username and password for, let's say, your Gmail account, the authenticator will prompt you to enter this code that changes every 20 to 30 seconds. So without this code, someone will not be able to actually gain access to your account. Now, honestly, there are some advanced techniques that this can be compromised as well. However, a simple way someone will need access to your phone. So before you put on, let's say, an authenticator on your phone, just be mindful that if you lose your phone and you have, let's say, 5 or 6 different accounts stored on this authenticator, it's really hard to actually gain back access into your account. And this, let's say it's your email account, your Facebook account, or whatever online account that support multi-factor or at least two-factor authentication, right? And this is actually just a free method. So I actually started to use multi-factor, let's say around 2001. Sorry, not 2001. My mistake, guys. 2001, we did not have smartphones back then. Somewhere probably around like 2012 or 13, like somewhere around there. Yeah, right. That there is the authenticator, and you can actually prevent account takeovers. Another cool thing you can actually get is this tool right here. So let me just pause my screen, and I want you guys to look at the webcam. So this here is what you call a security key, right? And this is what we use for multi-factor authentication. So it's the size of a USB drive, right? Like as you guys could see, to actually gain access to someone's account, right? You will need that key from the person. So just to give you guys a little idea, what I did is I actually set up this. Here's what is what we call a YubiKey. And I actually set this up on all the different accounts that I can actually set up on. So let's say my emails, right? Without this key, someone will not be able to actually access the account. So if you guys have, let's say, online social media accounts that is very critical to your business, and you actually want to prevent access to those accounts, firstly, you need to make sure the persons who are managing your Facebook accounts or your Facebook pages, their accounts are fully locked down and they're actually using at least multi-factor authentication. All right. So don't worry, I'll talk a little bit more on this, but let's jump into like what exactly is cybersecurity now, right? So what exactly is cybersecurity? Well, cybersecurity is pretty much preventing all types of cyber attack and protecting assets. We have various types of attacks. We have various types of threats. We have various types of hackers. We have so many things out there, right? And we need to protect our assets. So what exactly is an asset? To put simply, it's anything that is of value to a person. So it could be your pictures, it could be your data, and to organization, assets could be tangible, it could be intangible, and it could also be people as well, right? However, the most valuable asset to any organization right now is the data. And this is where ransomware is actually able to take advantage of stealing people's data and prevent them from accessing it. So when you get a ransomware, the ransomware will encrypt all the data on the actual drive except the operating system, and it will ask you for a payment. The payment window could either be asking for, let's say, your credit card details. It could be asking for payment in Bitcoin or some type of cryptocurrency. Many organizations actually fall for ransomware. However, it is never recommended to pay the ransom. So you're probably asking, but why we should not pay the ransom though? Isn't that we want to get back our data? Well, to put simply, there's no guarantee the actual hackers will give you the decryption key. And if you don't get a decryption key, they'll simply steal your money if you already make a payment. And this is why a lot of organization is actually a victim to losing money towards cyber attack, because ransomware is like so simple, right? Organizations are not always targeted in terms of a cyber attack, right? Remember that threat actors such as hackers will launch their malware on the internet, right? And they would have multiple command and control servers set up on the internet, right? So therefore, whenever, let's say there's a weakness detected in, let's say, your organization, because the malware is just roaming around the internet, it will automatically start to infect your network based on the vulnerability and start to spread literally like wildfire. Because the thing about ransomware is that ransomware has worm-like capabilities, which is self-generating, self-propagating, and doesn't require, some of them do not require human intervention, right? So this goes back to how hackers actually make money. So hacking is actually a business in the dark side of the internet, to say, right? Because like think about it, right? Like a hacker sit down home doing nothing and create this awesome ransomware, or probably the hacker and a group of persons create this ransomware and unleash it on the internet. They set up multiple command control servers for the ransomware to communicate with, and they just leave it. And companies are just getting infected because why? Many organizations actually are going online, right? Because the internet is one of the largest resource available to the entire world right now, right? And the thing is, it's this, right? We need the internet to actually do day-to-day transactions and to conduct business. So is the internet a safe place? No. Over 90% of the internet is actually filled with threats and viruses and malware and all sorts of bad things. The internet that you are able to access, like if you go on Google or you use any sort of search engine and you search for anything, that is only about 2% of the actual internet you could actually browse. The other 90+% is actually restricted by search engines. And the other side of the internet is the dark web and the deep web, where search engines actually, well, technically they like protect you from visiting those areas of the internet. Why? On the dark web, you could get viruses, you could get ransomware, your system, your network could actually be infected. And the other thing is this, right? Like without cybersecurity, all right, hackers will always be able to compromise our systems, right? And cybersecurity is such a very broad term to use. So when we were learning about IT, let's say about 10 to 15 years ago, IT was just one subject area, right? However, the thing about IT is that when you go into IT, there are many fields of study. You could go into cybersecurity, you could go into networking, you could go into cryptography, you could go into, let's say, server administration, you could go into programming. The thing is when you go into cybersecurity, there's so much additional, well, I won't say additional, but there's so much subcategories within cybersecurity. And as you guys notice, is that the name of the seminar, well, the webinar is relating to ethical hacking. So ethical hackers fall on the offensive side of cybersecurity, because in cybersecurity, you could be on the defensive side, you could be on the offensive side, you could be on the compliance side, you could be on looking for threats. So imagine this, right? You could get a job as a threat hunter. Like your job every day is to look for any sort of malware or threats that bypass your security solution within your company. You could be a reverse malware engineer, like literally there are job titles like that. So coming on to the end, I'll show you guys how to find cybersecurity jobs around the world and how to actually boost your actual portfolio. Okay. All right. So this slide, cybersecurity and needs an organization. Well, first of all, what are some of the challenges that organizations face? Well, there are many challenges, to be honest. One, no network security infrastructure are implemented within their company. That is one problem. The second problem is that they never have a budget for IT. And I think a lot of people who work in IT could probably like shaking their head, yes, IT don't always get the best budget. They will get a very small budget and they will have to make that budget work for whatever resources that they need to get, whether it's staff training, whether it is to get new devices, or whether it's to replace faulty equipment, right? So some of the actual problems is that companies don't see the need to actually invest in cybersecurity. And until they get a cyber attack, then everyone jumps on board immediately, like really excited, like, guys, we need to get this router, we need to get this firewall, we need to get this antivirus. And then you'll ask the question, so why weren't you thinking about this before the actual cyber attack? Right? Like, why? Now, the thing about cybersecurity is this, right? There's no indication, well, that an organization is going to get hacked. And the worst part is this, right? Organizations sometimes take over 6 months or probably a year to actually detect that their network is actually compromised. Some of the largest hacks in the world, in like Fortune 500 companies or even more, they actually admit that it took them about 6 months to actually realize that their network is compromised by a threat actor. So if you don't have any sort of network security or any professionals monitoring your network for you, like from the security side, you will never know that you are hacked. Because the thing about being hacked is this, right? A really intelligent threat actor, such as a hacker, will not make himself or herself known. The idea is to get in and remain silent while stealing your data and while compromising the rest of your network and probably pivoting more attacks through your network. So some of the actual challenges is that the leadership team in many organizations need to see the value for actually taking a very proactive approach into cybersecurity. The other problem is this too, right? There are many meetings. Yes, we love to have meetings about stuff. And when we have meetings, we hype about getting on board with cybersecurity. But after 1 week to 2 weeks after, all that is pushed aside. All of that is pushed aside, and then things go back to be normal. And until you get hacked, then it's like, oh my gosh, I need to get all these equipment. I should have done this. I should have put this. Well, you didn't, right? So you have to pay the price, right? You get hacked. So now you actually have to recover all your data. I think it was about a couple of years ago, like there's a really large industrial plant that I know that actually got a ransomware. All their servers were actually encrypted, and guess what? They have no prior backups of data. So backing up your data as well too, in like some type of offline facility or probably storage will help, will not, well, it don't prevent the attack, but if you should fall victim to, let's say, a ransomware attack and all your data is compromised, the only thing you could do is actually wipe the systems completely and restore data. And if you don't have data to restore, well, can't really do anything too much, right? So some of the actual challenges that actually happen, right? Now, another problem is that organizations usually want one person to do everything in the whole IT department. And that creates a really big problem because if it is that you hire a person, let's say have cybersecurity skill set, right? And you tell the person during the interview that, hey, your job is to secure a network, lock down the network, prevent threats, actively monitor. But when the person actually starts a job, the person is fixing laptops, doing server stuff, doing networking stuff. The person's skill set, right, is cybersecurity, but the person is so busy doing everything else that he or she will not be able to actually focus on the core duty itself and the real problem. To be honest with you guys, a good few years ago, I was actually hired to actually help monitor a network for a regional company, actually. And I was like, okay, well, this is cool. I'll set up a network monitoring software, fix all the problems, monitor network traffic, look for threats, and so on. By the second week of working in the company, I was fixing laptops every single day for 3 months. And out of 3 months of working for that company, and yes, I just worked for 3 months and left. Just for working for 3 months, I only had 10 minutes out of 3 months to actually log into the network devices to actually check the device configurations. Because why? They wanted one person to do everything else in the entire company. So that is some of the problems actually, right? So like what I need that organizations will have, right? Well, definitely they need a budget. Actually, before the budget, we definitely need a leadership team. And who is the leadership team? The management team of the organization to realize the need for cybersecurity and the need to invest in cybersecurity. Now, when we say invest, we are not just talking about buy equipment, right? Because you could buy the best of your firewalls, the best of network security solutions, the best of antiviruses, and you will still get a cyber attack. The thing is that you need multiple components to help defend your network. And this is where we'll talk about something called a defense in depth approach. A defense in depth approach is a multi-layered approach to actually protect and safeguard your actual assets, right? So you need professionals working within your company, cybersecurity professionals who are actually doing cybersecurity work, and those professionals must have the right qualifications. So don't worry, I'll talk about qualifications part probably next few minutes as well. So you need to have the right qualifications. Hiring a person for a particular job without the right qualifications is going to put a very huge strain and create a very big problem in your company or in your department. Because why? There will always be some type of knowledge gap and lack of expertise to actually fix the problem. So we need management to actually understand the need for cybersecurity. We need a budget. We actually need the right professionals with the right skill set. And most importantly, we also need the right set of equipment and technologies to help safeguard our network. And the last and final part is that we actually need to take a very proactive approach in securing networks, right? Simply because many organizations, whether it's a small organization, a large organization, or even medium size, many people say, my organization cannot get hacked. I have nothing to lose. Until they get hacked, guess what? They have everything to lose now. All right. As I mentioned just a few minutes ago as well, is that all of these organizations actually storing personally identifiable information about their customers. And imagine that you're doing day-to-day business with company Y or company Z or company X, and this organization get hacked and all your data is stolen and published on the dark web. Now, that's a really bad feeling to have, right? Now, when we say organizations, we are talking about all types of organizations within various types of industry. You could be like within academia, you could be in industrial plant or manufacturing, but what about our healthcare providers, right? Many people go to healthcare providers for various purposes, various reasons, and stuff like this, right? Your healthcare provider is storing something called PHI, right? PHI stands for Protected Health Information. And this is information that is related to a patient. The thing about PHI is that PHI needs to be protected just as equally as everything else within the entire company, right? Have you guys ever wondered, does your healthcare provider have any sort of network security? Does your healthcare provider have any sort of cybersecurity solutions or cybersecurity persons managing the entire infrastructure? These are some questions to ask. And when we talk about healthcare provider, we are talking about everyone, whether you work in the private health sector or the public health sector. I have seen many private sector persons, they would have a single computer with an outdated antivirus, and they are probably running like Windows XP. I'm being really honest with you guys. Like sometimes you might go, let's say, to the dentist or probably to your general like practitioner, right? Well, medical practitioner, and you happen to look into the person's screen, your shoulder surfing because you want to see like what icons they have and stuff like that. And I have seen this just by walking past their computers, and they run stuff like Windows 7, and then you see on the corner of the screen that it is saying that Windows is not activated. So if Windows is not activated, you know that they are not getting the latest updates. If they are not getting the latest updates, guess what? They are vulnerable. If they are vulnerable, most likely a hacker can actually exploit the vulnerability and break into the system and guess what? Steal data. Yeah. Yeah, like literally, guys, literally. All right. Some of the biggest problems is that understanding the need for cybersecurity, and just not a need, but having the right resource, having a team of professionals, having the right people, having the right skill set, right? The thing about cybersecurity is that you can't just have a degree and think, yeah, like I know everything. A degree do not cut it. Literally, I'm being honest with you guys. Like when it comes to cybersecurity, it's a whole different ball game. Like literally, right? So don't worry. I'll explain how to break into the industry, certs versus degree versus skills, right? Because we have three different things we need to talk about: skills, certs, degree. All right. Types of threats. Well, I talked about a couple of threats already. I mentioned viruses. Viruses are very common. You could get a virus it could create your own viruses. And this is a very cool part about being in cybersecurity. You could use applications to generate virus code for you. or you could buy virus codes from people on, like, let's say on the dark web, or you could get pre-built virus codes and you could fine tune it to, so let's say how you want it to work for you, right? So we have malware, right? Mentioned malware already. We talk about ransomware. We have something that's really, really bad, and that's actually called advanced persistent threats, APTs. So with APTs, these are normally created by nation state hackers actually, or organized crime groups. So threat actors that actually uses APTs, they actually after something like really, really huge. So I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but I think it was a couple of months ago, cybersecurity company that actually got hacked in the world. It was called FireEye. And one of the really bad things that happened is that the hacker or the group of hackers actually stole this really, really powerful exploit tool from something called SolarWinds. So many large organizations uses SolarWinds to actually monitor their entire network infrastructure, right? And imagine that you get an exploit that could literally hack all SolarWinds platforms. Just saying, right? Now, some other problems that we face like day to day in terms of organization is something called data leakage. And data leakage is simply where employees actually sending confidential data outside of the network, or probably posting sensitive or confidential information about the organization on, let's say, social media platforms, right? The thing is, right, in certain firewalls and stuff, there's a feature that can actually prevent employees from actually sending data or sending certain type of file types out of their organization and out of their network. To be honest, I actually did work for an organization some years ago, actually, and all the employees, except a very small group of employees, were actually permitted to actually send emails outside of the company. So if you work in, let's say, the sales department of the company or customer service, you were not allowed, as in if you try to send an email outside of the company, the firewall and the email security solution will actually block it. If you actually happen to send, let's say, a PDF file or even an Excel file outside of the company domain, the person who actually sent the file will think the email was delivered, but the CEO, the IT department, and a couple of other concerned parties will receive the report, and the employee will get a warning letter probably the very next day from HR. Yeah. And all of this is to literally prevent data leakage and prevent employees from exfiltrating data outside of the actual organization. Some other types of attack as well, as mentioned, is like the account takeovers. And to actually prevent the account takeovers, a very simple and cheap way is to use two-factor authentication. As you all saw previously, you could use the Google Authenticator, the Microsoft Authenticator as well, or you could go and get a pair of these security keys, right? These are called YubiKeys. The thing about getting a security key is that you actually need a pair. The reason why is that you have a primary key that you'll always keep on person, and you have a secondary key. The secondary key is usually kept in a safe place. And the reason for why you need a secondary key is in case you lose the primary key, you'll have the secondary key. Because without these keys, let's say you lose both, there's no way to actually get into your account. However, it actually reduces the chances of your account being taken over by a hacker. So for example, if a hacker actually get your username and password, without a key, they will not be able to gain access into your account. So therefore, it actually stopped the attack before it actually became successful. As mentioned as well, too, we have social media accounts are being compromised. So ever so often, to be honest, I've seen and heard and have also been contacted by various persons to help them recover their social media account. Guys, so I just want to say this once. All you need to do is set up multi-factor authentication on your social media accounts and all your online accounts, and that would reduce the likelihood of your account is being compromised by someone. I'm pretty sure if it is that you check to see whether I have social media accounts, I actually have a few, but I'm not too worried about my accounts getting hacked. No, I'm not saying to go and hack me, guys, so please don't, because hacking is illegal, all right? So please don't hack me. But what I'm saying is because I have various types of security mechanisms set up on my account, I could sleep better at nights, to say. All right. In terms of some of the regular problems that people face, We have where people phones are being compromised and hackers are stealing their photos and publishing it on various porn sites. They do that for many reasons. One, it could be, let's say, an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend or ex-somebody decide to take your photos and put it online because they want to discriminate you and destroy your character. Well, guys, to be honest, I want to say guys, I mean like everyone, males and female, don't don't take out nude photos. Like that is all. Don't share nude photos. If you want to back up your nude photos, encrypt the photos or encrypt your documents and then back it up on the cloud storage platform. So if someone actually gain access to your cloud storage platform, the data is encrypted. So if they download a file, they will not be able to decrypt the file without the actual key that you used to actually encrypt the data. So that's the smartest thing that we could do right now. Encrypt the data and then back up the data to the cloud platform. All right. So yeah, so just don't share things that you think might put you in a compromising position in future at all. Because you think that okay, that is fine, you share it today. You know, like some of those chat messengers, they could actually set like self-destruct timers of where the message could self-destruct after 1 second to 5 seconds. What if the person that you are sharing this content with actually have a screen recording application on their phone? And we all know with Android 10 and 11, it has built-in screen recorders within their phones. So what if the person have their screen recorder on all the time while they are chatting with whoever they are chatting with? The person send a self-destructing message. The message self-destruct, but guess what? The recording capture everything. So just saying, guys, please don't, because many people will do things to actually blackmail like other people. So what are some of the things that you could actually do to kind of like prevent these things? First thing, just don't do it. Just don't even take out the picture at all. Right? If you're feeling to like you want to go into modeling, fine. That is totally up to you. But just be very, very cautious. If it is that someone do something like this to you, the best advice I could tell you, legally speaking, and based on the cybercrime law and based on our police service, is that you need to go to your local authorities and file an official report. That is the best legal advice I could give you, and they will take it from that point going forward. You need to contact the police first. All right. So I know this is like one really cool question that many people like to ask. How easy it is to hack into a system? The thing about hacking is hacking actually have 5 phases, right? Phase one is one of the most important phase. That is actually called reconnaissance, information gathering. So let's think about it from, let's say, a military standpoint. If one nation wants to actually invade another nation, well, the invaders will just not just walk into the other nation and be like, cool, we are going to start a war. No, they will gather a lot of intel, as in a lot of intelligence about their target, right? A lot of intel. They would perform various types of reconnaissance, information gathering techniques, and so on, right? So the more information that you know about the target, and when we talk about information, let's actually put it from a cybersecurity standpoint, right? Let's say there's this person. Okay, well, let's say that there's this organization that you want to hack. Well, first thing first, you need a lot of data about that organization. You need to know where the organization is physically located. You need to know what type of servers they have, the IP addresses of those servers. You need to know whether they have any hidden servers. You need to know what type of infrastructure they actually have within their company, what type of operating systems, all of these details that you need to get from your target. And there are many various techniques that could actually help anyone to actually get this information. All right. Now, apart from getting information and stuff, right, we actually need to determine the type of vulnerabilities that actually exist within the actual target. So let's say the organization have no type of network security, and let's say you happen to determine that the organization is running, let's say, Windows XP. It's really simple. You could go on Google and just Google Windows XP vulnerabilities and exploits, and you'll see a ton load that is actually going to happen, right? So let me show you guys something like really, really sick, right? And this is nothing illegal at all. This is just what we call open source intelligence. To put simply, it's actually called OSINT, and OSINT is non well, sorry, like OSINT is not illegal at all. It is simply asking the internet for answers. So you are using public information to help build a portfolio of your target, right? So the thing is that we could use the power of something called DNS, domain name system, and that is actually a network protocol that is used to actually resolve host names to IP addresses. To put simply, right? So I think most persons who probably are on this webinar from my country. So let's say we just decide to get some information on a certain organization, right? So there's this really cool tool like built into Windows and Linux, which is called NSLookup. All right. We can use NSLookup, right? And the cool thing is that NSLookup is just to resolve hostnames to IP addresses, right? So let's say, for example, I want to ask Google about the IP addresses of various domains, right? So A.A.8, well, the 4 8s is actually a Google DNS server. So what I did is that I just simply changed my query to Google DNS server, right? And let's say, for example, pull up, guys, who do you think we should pull up here though? Let's see. So do you guys know we actually have a national cybersecurity team in the country? It's called TTSIRT. And they're actually responsible for managing the global, one of the global, but nation's cybersecurity incident response of our nation, right? So let's say we want to get data about them. So their domain is up there. Let me go back to my little tool. And let's say, for example, that I want to get their email servers. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, why would somebody want their email servers? Well, imagine compromised email servers. You could read all their business. To put simply, you could probably gain access to weak accounts and send emails on behalf of other persons, right? So what we could do is we could use the power of DNS combined with NSLookup, right? So we could do set type equal all, and this is like a small mini teaching session, right? So set type equal MX is actually saying that, hey, I'm going to ask Google for the mail exchange servers of the domain. So put in the domain, and let's see if Google is able to give me this. It took a little while, so I'll probably have to do it back again. So server A.A.8, let me try it one more time, set type equal MX, and let's see if I should be able to get it. Oh, okay. So there we go. This is publicly available information. So we have these servers. And what if you want to actually get the IP addresses? So I could copy this. And guys, just a FYI, this is what we call open source intelligence, and this is not illegal at all. This is totally fine. This is pretty much getting information that's already out there on the internet, and this is public information. It's just a thing about information gathering, like when it comes to ethical hacking and cybersecurity and actual hacking, is that you need to be able to know how to find data on anything using various tools, techniques, and skills. So we can actually resolve this host name, which is this one here. We could do A, paste in the host name, and let's see. And look, we actually get the public IP of that host name. Let's say we use the other one as well. And let's paste this in. Oops, paste it in 2 times. That's once, and we should, and look, yeah, so we actually get the public IP. And then we could take the public IP now and just do a little Google search, and I could find who is the ISP that said company is connected to, right? And that is just a really simple thing. And that is one of the many things we could do to actually get open source intelligence information on any company we want. So let's say we do it on like anyone, like as long as you have a domain, right? And you have a mail server and you understand how DNS works and the power of like NSLookup, you can actually get data though. Well, get like information and so on. But what if we actually want to see like, hey, like what goes on in Trinidad? So we use Google to find domain names and host names. Imagine there's a search engine for the actual devices that are on the internet. So let's say, for example, that let's say search for everything in my country. And guys, this is by no means that you should So these are all the devices that are actually active in our country that Shodan is showing us. And this is public information, right? So for example, we could see all type of devices. And let me show you all right, so I'm just going to check the second page, right? So this is a search engine for literary devices on the internet. Okay, so look at, okay, I'm not getting a good one, but pretty much like if you click on one of these, right, and we are not hacking it, guys, we just gathering information on things that are on the internet. So you could see location and stuff like that. We get like web technologies, we get open ports running services, but there's something specific that I want to show you guys here. Let me see. Yeah, okay, so let me type in Windows and let's see if you get anything that are on a Windows operating system. All right, and cool. Look, we actually got a lot of things that are running Windows operating system right now. And look at this. Let's click on this. All right, and I'm trying to refrain from using certain words here, so I hope you guys bear with me. But this system is in a certain location here. We could see all the open ports. And by understanding what all these network ports do, you'll have an idea of how to get access, right? Or like what is open. So like 3389 is actually remote desktop. And let's see, is there a remote desktop? Okay, I need to go down like a lot down, right? And this here's the login page, and this is publicly available. Yeah, and you could see here a type of the system running, which is guys, I hope you all still seeing me. So this here is actually Windows Server 2012. So if you do a Google search on exploits for said server, makes your life a bit easy. But you want to see something like even scarier? So watch this, right? I am going to just backtrack this, do a search. And do you want to see inside of people DVRs? Take a look at this. All right, and look, these are inside of people DVR systems and their computers that are connected to the internet directly. And let's say, for example, we click on, that's not, had someone kitchen here this morning, you know. Okay, so let me open up like a couple of these. And guys, all of this is just looking without touching, right? So this person system, okay, I think this was the one I had before. Okay, so let me open this. Right. So look at this, right? We get in their IP, we get in the port, and we get in at least a screenshot of like what they're running. Like literally, who in their right mind is going to run Windows Server 2003 unless this is a very old system that needs to be running to support some type of legacy system, right? And if you look closely here, you might actually see the domain name. Look here too. This is inside of people's stuff, and this is what the internet will literally see. And all this is public information. And this here is literally a search engine for devices on the internet. So in other words, it's actually a search engine for IoT devices. And look at this. This is a vulnerability that is detected on this system and give you the actual description of what it does. And if you just right click on this as an ethical hacker and as a penetration tester, right? So if you just Google search this, and we could read it up here on the official site, it will literally give us all the details about it and stuff like that. Yeah, and all of this, guys, is publicly facing on the internet though, like literally anybody could see this. You guys have any concerns that your system might be on here too? All right, so enough of this. Let's how easy it is to break in. So as long as you have a lot of information, the next thing you need to do is to gather information about like vulnerabilities on the system itself. And you actually need to either you're going to create an exploit, or you will need to download an exploit from the internet and customize it. Now, the thing about creating an exploit is that what the exploit will do is take advantage of the vulnerability, right? And the vulnerability is pretty much the security weakness on the system, right? Now, the thing is here, sometimes the exploit may work and sometimes it may not work. That's the thing about penetration testing and ethical hacking, right? You might have your exploit work on a system that has the same vulnerability, and when you actually launch it on another system, it's not going to work. So how easy it is to hack in? Well, it's like a 50-50, to put simply, because you could have all the intelligence about your target and your exploit does not work. So the hardest part in hacking, to be honest, is actually the exploitation fees, and that's just in my personal opinion, because information gathering is really simple. Like you could just use the internet and get so much details and profile your entire target. You could discover vulnerabilities without even performing some type of scan on their system, right? And a lot of organizations, they would put up job vacancies on various websites. And the thing is that on these job websites, they will leak information. They will put up stuff about what type of certifications that you need to have and what type of qualification. So, for example, if you see a job vacancy asking you to be certified in, let's say, Windows Server 2016, then that means that organization is running Windows Server 2016 and most likely Windows 7 and Windows 10. So that gives you an idea of the infrastructure and the operating systems that are running in their company. If you see, let's say, an organization that is asking you to be, let's say, CCNA and probably a couple of other technologies that are very specific, or some companies will even ask you to have let's say skills within a specific type of technology as well, whether it is a particular type of application or programming language, and that'll give you a very clear idea of what that company actually have. So it's really, really important that recruiters be very mindful about the type of information that they are leaking online. Right. So to put simply, once you do enough research, you have a hacker mindset and you're able to think logical and strategic, and you're able to know how to use various tools, techniques, strategies to gather information using the internet, it will create a clearer idea of what your target is and what your weaknesses are. So when it's time to actually create a weapon, which is the actual exploit, I mean, you'd have like a higher chance of actually breaking in. Now, it may not be successful on the first try, but it's okay. That's the cool part about learning about ethical hacking and penetration testing, is that the thing is, you have to always have a dynamic mindset and always be learning. And sometimes you have to do research. All right. So yeah, like how easy? It's pretty much a 50-50. It might work on the first try, it may not work at all. I may have to track back to like a couple of steps before to figure out, hey, um, why did the exploit not work? Is there like another way inside the target organization? Is there like another way to break into the actual target or the system itself? So what hackers would actually look for is what we call the lowest hanging fruit. The lowest hanging fruit are the ones that are easiest to obtain, right? So you think that, okay, like hackers would always go for the most difficult or the most challenging thing. No, as long as we get in through one doorway, we could literally exploit the rest of the network and the entire system and create multiple backdoors. So that's the thing though, right? It's all about just getting in one way and then you do everything else. All right, so talking about network implants, right? So there are many types of things that you could do, many things you could buy. You could even create your own stuff, right? All right, so there's this. This is actually called a LAN turtle. I can actually get this to buy. What it looks like, it's like one side is USB, the other side connects to a network cable, right? And let me just stop sharing my screen so now you guys could see my webcam. So it's look like this, right? And it looks like a regular piece of device that probably you need a Ethernet port, and is literally like USB on one side, and then you have a network interface on the other side. This is actually a Linux system running on this. It actually has some RAM and stuff, right? It actually have built-in exploitation tools. You could even get a VPN and remote access into this device anywhere you are on the internet. So if you plan this in someone network, you can simply leave it there, right? And you could put a sticker here saying IT do not remove. A regular person is not going to remove it. So that's one thing. You could get this other device that looks like size of a box of matches. This is also a network implant as well. There are two network ports here. There's one here and there's one here. And this will allow you to remotely access into this device. And this has built-in Linux system as well. And you guys know with Linux, you could do like anything you want to do, right? So it had built-in Linux on it. It could capture traffic in line, and if you use like a memory card, it can actually store the actual data onto the memory card here. That way, it can actually, well, not data, but the actual packets as well, right? So you plug this in, it literally becomes a physical like man-in-the-middle attack. Yeah, so that's that one. And for those of you guys who into like home automation and stuff and in the computer science, I'm sure you guys know what this thing is, right? It's a Raspberry Pi, right? So a Raspberry Pi could put anything on it, but this could be used as your own customizable network implant. So you see here, it have like a network interface. There is some USB ports. And the same thing, right? You can literally put any Linux operating system on this, set up remote access as in VPN, plug this into someone network. And as you guys know, like all you need is like a phone charger or a battery bank, and this is going to literally power on, right? So you can literally make your own little hacking gadgets if you want, put that in someone network and they will not detect it. Well, yeah, like if they do like a physical walkthrough, they will be able to actually detect it. This here is one of my favorite tools actually. So this here is what we call a bash bunny actually, right? So it's the size of a USB flash drive, but it's not a USB flash drive. So it's like, what are you talking about though? It is USB, right? Like it is USB. But but the thing is this, right? So you plug this into someone's computer, creates a network connection, not a USB connection. So imagine this, right? Your antivirus is looking for USB connections. What you plug this on, this have a microprocessor, RAM, storage, and this will create a network connection between itself and the actual computer. So the system will receive a DHCP address, like an IP address from this little device, and the scripts will run and execute and exfiltrate data. Pretty awesome, right? And yes, Bash Bunny can get this to buy online. And like these things, not even selling on the dark web, though. So you don't have to worry about like illegal stuff. It's just don't use it for illegal purposes. That is all. I actually use this thing for educational purposes, guys, and of course for training, because this is what I do. I teach people legally how to do like penetration testing, ethical hacking, cybersecurity operations, threat detection, and understand these things, right? If you're more on the Wi-Fi side like me, you could get like a Wi-Fi thing here, right? So this is what you call, just anyways, this here is what you call a Wi-Fi pineapple, and they come in like different variations. I could couple this with like a battery bank. It has like 3 antennas, right? So you have this one here, you have this one, and then there's this one. So one antenna here could be used to create like, let's say, a honeypot network to trick people to connect into you. This other one could actually launch an attack to bomb them off from the legitimate network and get them to connect to you. And then this one here could be used to connect to actual Wi-Fi network. So when your victim connect, guess what? They think they're actually on the real network and they have internet access where you actually seeing all the websites, seeing all the pictures, seeing everything that goes through this little device. And this could fit in your pocket actually. Yeah. One of my favorite ones that I got recently is actually this. For those of you guys who are into computer science, this is actually called a microcontroller, right? And this one actually have a built-in screen. There's built-in Wi-Fi network interface card here. It has a custom firmware on it. You can actually launch Wi-Fi based attacks from this. This is actually I think it's like ESP8266. You can literally get them to buy online for different prices based on the type of board you're getting. So this here could couple this with like a battery bank and drop this by, let's say, some company, start the attack and leave it for like, let's say like 15 days running, because this is just using about 2 milliamps of current and probably about 5 or less volts. So if you get like a battery bank about this size, you could probably get like a couple of weeks of power just by using this little one. Then there's this little travel router I got recently as well. So this is a regular travel router. Probably wondering, okay, like why would you walk around with this thing though? Well, this actually have a customized firmware that I could like put this down, connect it to a battery bank, leave it for days, remotely access this, and actually perform an attack through this device to the actual target network. Because why? It have customized firmware. Yeah. So yes, it does regular Wi-Fi stuff you could use at home, but because of the customized firmware this little device uses, you can literally launch a whole bunch of various types of like cyber attacks. And I think about it is that with Wi-Fi, it's really hard to actually find the perpetrator if it is like you don't have the right skill sets, like to put simply, right? So this is why we need cybersecurity professionals, because if it is that you just buy equipment and someone breaks into your Wi-Fi network, then how are you going to know? Like many years ago, there was this person had contacted me. It was regarding to they found a rogue device on their network. In terms of rogue, is that they noticed that there's a MAC address that is not recognized that is being passed about on their network infrastructure. It was not assigned by their local DHCP server. Well, as you guys could guess, the company did absolutely nothing about it and they left it. So this is what I'm talking about, guys. The whole mentality we have to change, right? About if you see something that is not there, investigate and remove it. Right. So how could you actually protect yourself from various types of attacks? So firstly, make sure you have an antivirus. Make sure it's always up to date. Make sure your operating system is always up to date, right? Some people might ask, what is the best antiviruses to use? Honestly, the best antivirus to use is the one that does anti-malware protection, the one that has ransomware protection, and the one that you always keep up to date. So if you don't update your antivirus or your anti-malware program, it will not know how to find the newer set of threats that are coming out, right? I personally use native security and it works fine. My operating system keeps running smooth because it is native. Ensure you have a firewall. Make sure your firewall is on and it's always up to date. You could use a native firewall. You could even get a third-party firewall software if you want, right? If it is that you concern about what sites, like whether you are visiting fake website, you could use trusted DNS. So you could use Google public DNS servers. Just do Google DNS. You'll see here of where you'll get the IPv4 primary and secondary IPs. I highly recommend to also configure the IPv6. And these are free services though, right? The instructions here will show you how to configure it on your system. If it is you want to get more granular control on what your family visits, you could use something called Cisco OpenDNS for free. All right. And of course, they have instructions on how to configure it on your system. So what you do, you go onto the OpenDNS site, you click on consumer, and here you could use the Family Shield, right? The Family Shield is going to filter all the porn sites automatically, right? You just need to set these two IPs and you'll be fine. But if it is you create an account and go through OpenDNS Home, you can actually filter sports websites, gambling websites, drugs website, and so on, right? That works fine. However, I highly recommend if it is you're doing DNS filtering, you must do it with IPv4 and IPv6. So what I personally like to use is Cloudflare DNS, which is 1111, right? So Cloudflare actually have the default, which is this one here. You get like optimal speed and whatnot. But if you go on family and you scroll down, so you'd see here that there's one for malware. You said this, and if you click here, you get the IPv6, and there's some malware and adult content filtering. If you click here as well too, you'll get the actual IPv6. So let me tell you how awesome this one is here with the malware and the adult content filtering. If you search for a pornographic website on Google, it is not going to appear. Like literally, it literally filters your search engine as well, and it literally prevents the sites from actually loading. So if you want, and let's say it's your personal computer on your personal network, and you don't have like kids around, configure these two, right? So you're doing the IPv4, and you'll also do the IPv6 one here as well, right? The reason why is because the internet is made up of both IPv4 and IPv6. You want to make sure if you connect into an IPv6 system, right, you're also using DNS IPv6. So once you do that, it is going to block everything that based on what these two keywords says. So if you have, again, kids, family and stuff, you set it once, like you hard code it on their system and leave it. If you set it on your own, let's say your personal router at home, any device that connects to your Wi-Fi network at home, they will be using the DNS settings that you set. But if their system is hard-coded with another one, it will overwrite your DNS settings. All right. So those are some simple things to do. As mentioned, you could always use the two-factor or the multi-factor authentication to actually prevent the account takeovers. If it is you want to go on the more safer side, I highly invest that you invest in YubiKeys. You could get them literally on Amazon to buy, and make sure you buy a pair and you set up the two keys on whatever systems you're using. So just to clarify, you do not need one key per account. One key, many accounts. So I actually have a pair of these, and I probably set this up on at least about 20 something accounts by now, like literally, right? Just to sleep better at night, right? Now, from an organization approach, right, we need user awareness training, like literally. And user awareness training should not be only for particular staff. It should be everyone in the entire company, right? So let's imagine that I walk into a company, I apparently drop, okay, so let's actually got a flash drive, right? So let's say I get like a flash drive, a regular flash drive, and I put a malicious script on this, happen to forget it on the CSR desktop, and I leave. Now, the person might be very curious and plug on the flash drive into the network. When they do that, guess what? The script is going to execute, and if the script works successfully, the network is now compromised, and I have gained access into the company's network. Now, that's where user awareness training comes in, because you need to train everyone from your janitor to the CEO to your managers to the CSR to the driver. Why? There are various types of cyber attacks, and social engineering is the most easiest one that many hackers use to actually compromise someone else's network or system. The thing about user awareness training is user awareness training should not be done once and that's it. It should be done very frequently, probably every month or every 2 months. The reason why is because every single day there's new cyber attacks, like literally launching. And let me show you a really awesome place to get news on cyber attacks. Well, like in terms of cybersecurity news, right? So you could check out a site called thehackernews.com. It's actually a trusted site to get your information, right? And look at this. This actually came out just yesterday, right? So how I'm sharing my screen, you guys could probably exploit this right now and see the rest of my screen. Like literally, and this only came out just yesterday. Between yesterday to today, I have not received an update yet. And that is currently at the point of this talk. Yeah. So the best place to actually get a cybersecurity news is actually Twitter, right? The reason why is that as soon as something happens, somebody tweets about it. So you know that we use hashtags to actually reach people and reach audience. Start following hashtags, right? And once you start following hashtags, you will see trusted people and trusted groups who actually post in the news, right? So yeah, cybersecurity awareness training. We have the multi-factor authentication, implement network security solutions, all right? This here is where companies actually need the budget, right? You need a firewall. Many companies say we have a firewall, we are not going to get an attack. But all a firewall does, well, a network-based firewalls filter threats that enter in your company and leave in your company that is going to the internet. What about the disgruntled employee who's sitting by his desk who's trying to hack your network from the inside? How is your firewall going to stop that attack? How is your firewall going to stop a hacker who's sitting outside of your company, probably across the road, who's hacking your Wi-Fi network? And let's say the person get access to your Wi-Fi network. Well, the person could literally pivot their attack and compromise the rest of your network, right? So we need a defense in-depth approach, right? And that's why I mentioned this here. Multi-layer, you get various cybersecurity solutions to protect various aspects. Simple example, many companies use email every day to communicate, but do you have any security on your email? Maybe yes, maybe no, right? Various companies have something called an email security appliance, which does multi-layer filtering of both inbound and outbound messages. How are you protecting your users from a web-based attack? Whether they are visiting a malicious website or whether some attacker is exfiltrating data using a common network protocol. You need to check out all of these things, right? And this is the thing, right? Let's say an attacker is exfiltrating data, right? So this here is the data. Many hackers are not going to just like siphon like this data outside. What hackers will do is encapsulate the actual traffic into this yellow zone. And this yellow zone might be HTTP traffic, or probably it might be ICMP traffic. And why they are doing this is because HTTP and ICMP is like common network traffic. So therefore, a firewall is going to let it bypass, and you as, let's say, a network administrator or system administrator is going to let this pass. But hackers, smart hackers, they don't exfiltrate data that looks suspicious. They will use some type of common network protocol that will literally evade your threat detection system. So this is why that we need both solutions. We need professionals with the right qualifications, right? Because if you don't have the right skill set, it makes it really hard to actually find the hacker. I think about finding the hacker and finding the threat is that you need to think like a hacker. Right? If you want to catch a hacker, you literally need to think like one. And then you probably might say, okay, like I don't want to hack. But there are ways you could learn to hone your skills in a safe environment or a virtual lab on your personal computer. Then the other thing too is by having a professional, we need to actively monitor our network for any sort of intrusions and proactively hunt for threats. The reason why you want to be proactive about this is because sometimes threats, viruses, malware might actually evade your, let's say, your security system. If it evades your security system, it simply means to say your security system is not aware of it, therefore you are not aware of it either. So if it is you proactively look for threats, you will find things that your security solution actually miss. And if you find something, therefore, you could tweak your security system to actually identify this threat that was totally missed. All right, so the big question, how does one get into ethical hacking? And how does one get into cybersecurity? First thing first, there is no one certification and there's no one degree to fit it all. That's as straightforward as I can make it for you guys. There's no one degree or one master's or one PhD. You can have a PhD in cybersecurity and don't know how to hack, like literally. I'm being real honest, right? So why is it that there's no one cert or one qualification to fit all? Because of the dynamics and dynamic environment of cybersecurity. Remember I mentioned there are so many different job portfolios, right? So based on the type of job or the type of career you want to go into cybersecurity, you need the right skill set and qualification to align yourself to that direction. As bad as this will sound, an IT degree is not going to help you when it comes to cybersecurity. Having a degree in cybersecurity is more like a personal accomplishment to see versus the certifications, right? And the reason why is certifications give you skills, but having certifications is just not all. You need to actually build and hone your skills outside of certifications as well. And that's the thing that makes it easy and also makes it hard. Because the thing about cybersecurity is that you have to always be learning, right? Imagine you want to break into, let's say, a server, right? You break into the server, okay, get in. But like, what next? If you don't know how the server works or how the server functions, then, I mean, yeah, you're breaking, you're successful, but like after that point, it's kind of pointless, right? So imagine you break into a Linux server for the first time, you're all excited, but you do not know Linux. Then you can't really do anything outside of that, right? So the thing about cybersecurity is that you have to know a lot about many things, right? Now, to be honest with you guys, it is not hard to get in, but you need to have the mindset of that it is continuous learning and you have to be open-minded about learning. And many of the things are self-taught and many of the things you learn based on research and experimentation, right? As in you try things on your own, see if it works, then fine, you try it in the cybersecurity like engagement, whether you are hacking a company, legally speaking. All right. So that's the dynamics about cybersecurity because of the different fields that you could get into, right? So I know this webinar is mostly on ethical hacking, right? And yes, so I'll just focus a bit more on the offensive side of cybersecurity, right? So certs versus a degree. Certs give you the skill sets. It sets a baseline. That's that. A degree, you literally is like you're scratching the surface, but can't really do too much in terms of what you learn with a degree towards cybersecurity. So the thing about certs is that they are specific certifications to help gear you towards that specific job you want to get. All right. And don't worry, I'll show you guys some little free resources to kind of help you guys get started here in a little bit as well. Certs, if it is going into cybersecurity, right? If it is you want to go into the academia side of degree, master's, PhD, doctorate, that is all well and fine. However, those are considered to be personal accomplishments because they don't actually give you the skills. So then the bigger word going to come in here now, like skills. Isn't I supposed to know to do everything if I do a cert? Well, no, right? Remember the whole idea of doing some type of qualification or study is to give you a baseline of where you could start at a baseline here, and then you take that baseline, you move upward with that knowledge level. So to put simply, right, I don't have all the cybersecurity certs in the world, but what I did is that I recognize that each of my certs I have sets a baseline, and I begin to learn from that point outside of the actual classroom, right? Like coming on to say, what should I start with? Or like, to be honest with you, all right? Imagine sitting down where you are sitting, but you want to hack a server across the internet. How are you reaching that server? Well, we need to go through our network. So learning networking is really, really, really important, right? As long as you're going into cybersecurity, you need to have a really strong foundation in networking, right? And don't worry, I'll talk about some recommended certs in a little bit here, but you need to have a really strong foundation in networking, right? You also need to have a really good understanding of various types of operating systems, Windows, Windows Server, Linux servers, even Mac. If you don't know about various types of operating systems, there are many free resources out there on the internet that you could go and learn these things for free, right? So in other words, you're looking at saving money, but also getting the most of the knowledge that you are getting. Another question, do I need to learn Linux? You could hack with anything though. Like I used to do like mobile hacking and everything just with my Android phone back probably about like 8 years ago or like 8 or 9 years ago. It doesn't really matter what operating system you use, right? But like Linux makes things very convenient, right? The reason why is many of the cool, awesome hacking tools are actually designed for Linux, right? So you're probably wondering what is the best Linux operating system to use. I highly recommend Kali Linux, and there is a reason why. All right, so you could use any Linux operating system you want. You could even use Ubuntu, or you could even use Debian. You could use any Linux and hack if you want. Use Windows and hack too if you want. But the reason why I recommend Kali Linux is because I actually wrote one of the most popular selling book on Kali Linux here, which is Kali Linux 2019. Yes, guys, this is me, right? It's not like the best picture, but I mean, I think I look good, right? Yeah, so I highly recommend if you just want to get into ethical hacking and penetration testing and you're looking for a good book, I highly recommend like this one though. And it's not because I wrote it, but because I think you guys could see, right? The ratings. In terms of networking, right? I'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. The best thing to learn is start to learn some Linux. You can learn Linux for free online, all right? Just do a little search, learn Linux free, you'll get a lot of resources. You don't need to or become an expert in Linux. You just have to have an idea of how it works and how to use it. Another question many people ask, do I need to learn programming? To be honest with you guys, I can't really program too well. I was learning Java, and that was like 13 years ago. Yeah, it's like 13 years ago. Whoa. Yeah. Back then, I could write a little Java code, and it is not mandatory to know programming, but if you do, it will help you with a lot of things, especially with the automation. So if it is you want to be better at like creating your own tools, creating your own scripts, automating certain, let's say, hacking techniques, learn Bash. Bash is the native scripting language for Linux that will help you automate stuff. If it is you want to start to do some shell coding and automation as well, Python, C++. If it is you want to create exploits, look at Ruby, right? Because one of the tools that we use in penetration testing is something called Metasploit. Some of the Metasploit scripts, or well, the actual exploits are in Ruby as well. So like, what are some certs to start with, right? Start with Network Plus, right? Start with CompTIA Network Plus. That will teach you the in-depth knowledge about the various protocols that exist and the technologies that exist on a network. If you want, guys, you could feel free to get a copy of my Network Plus book. It's right here on Amazon. In case you're not sure how to find my Amazon page, just Google my name, like literally. This is our old picture, so okay, I need to change that there. All right, I see the Amazon link. Just click it. You can get my Network Plus book, right? And it's up to you if you want to become certified in it. So that is that. I highly recommend to start with Network Plus to build your networking knowledge. I highly recommend to learn CCNA as well. The reason why this will give you a solid foundation in networking. You don't need to go beyond CCNA in terms of your networking knowledge. So, okay, so let's say you get your Network Plus, get your CCNA. Like, what next? Well, you can start to build your skills before you get your certification. The reason why is cybersecurity certifications are really expensive. Like, no kidding, it is really, really expensive. Some of them start at 500 US just for the exam. Some of them go up to approximately 1,000 US just for the exam, right? So the thing with cybersecurity is that you want to get the best of everything at a reasonable price. So you want to get certs together with skills, right? So you can check out a site called Try Hack Me. All right, I think I spelled this wrong, but that's okay. Google fix that for me. So you have Try Hack Me, right? You could go to Try Hack Me and they will teach you stuff for free, and they will give you online virtual labs that you could practice your skills for free. So you have like Try Hack Me, like what next? So if it is you want to go more to the intermediate level, expert level, you could use a site called Hack the Box. This is one of the best actually. If you want to register, you have to hack yourself into register, like no kidding, right? So if you go into the sign-in page, there is no registration page. You literally have to hack yourself in from this page and invite yourself into the system. And that is how you actually get in, right? So you could give it a shot, guys. I highly recommend start with Try Hack Me first to get an idea of how hacking is, and it's actually a safe environment that you're playing in. You could also do Hack the Box as well. It's pretty much really safe. Each of those environments that you use will give you a profile and give you trophies. These trophies could be used to place on your LinkedIn profile or on your online portfolio. So if you don't have these certs, but say your hiring manager determines that, hey, well, this person don't have no certs, but this person is also doing some stuff on, let's say, Hack the Box to Try Hack Me, they could click on your URL that you put either on your LinkedIn profile or your resume, and they could see how much challenges you complete and what your skill level is. And yes, companies will hire you if you have the skills and you have something to show for it. This is why it's really important that when it comes to personal branding, that you do stuff that if you do a skill, you have something to show for that skill. Right. In terms of other certification as well, right, you could look at Security Plus. That's from CompTIA. Secure Plus, like many people would say, it's really watered down, but it literally is a foundation for IT security, and it's a really, really good certification to learn, simply because that it teaches you literally foundation of cybersecurity, IT security, information security, and it shows you different fields that you could go into as well. Plus, it actually have a DoD standard, right? You could also look at getting the CEH certification as well, right? So if you just Google CEH, Certified Ethical Hacker, this is created by a company called EC Council, and it's quite popular. The thing about CEH is that this, as I mentioned, there's no one cert to fit all, right? So this cert is really good to give you that foundation knowledge of becoming an ethical hacker. Now, there's a difference between an ethical hacker and a penetration tester, right? An ethical hacker is a person who already works in a company, probably a sysadmin, network admin, probably the manager, and he or she wants to test the security of their company. So, of course, you would get legal permission before you test it. A penetration tester is someone who's hired as a white hat hacker to actually break into the organization, legally speaking, but of course with permission, right? So CH will literally give you, it's actually a gatekeeper certification so that it will literally let you bypass HR. So this is like a 1 foot inside. Like many HRs around the globe will look for CH, and that's just to get in, right? But remember, there's no one cert to fit all, right? There's another one too, and this one is more the practical side, right? Which is called OSCP. This one here, the exam, you literally have to do a penetration test and submit a report within, I think it's 24 to 48 hours. Another 24 hours to submit the report. This one here is also a really good one to have, and this would give you a lot more practical skills, right? So you're actually doing network penetration testing here. So I highly recommend, if you can get it too, it will be good because the CH will literally help you get through the HR door, and the OSCP will help you get the skills together with getting through the HR door as well. Right? The thing about going into hacking is you have ethical hacking, which is where you're already in the company, right? But you are not actual, let's say, a penetration tester, right? So you have the ethical hacking skills. You would ask your boss or the company of legal permission before you actually do any sort of testing, right? The reason why is because these testings could be intrusive in nature and illegal. So you always need permission, like legal permission. And legal permission is just not an email. You need a signed document by all concerned parties as also vetted by a legal entity such as a lawyer. A penetration tester is someone who's hired as a hacker to break into the company as what a real hacker would actually do. But of course, with legal documents in order, you get it vetted by a lawyer and stuff like that. Now, there's a next level to which is called red teaming, right? And red teaming is literally next step in terms of ethical hacking and penetration testing. With red teaming, that's where there's no boundary, right? A company hire you or your team to break in legally. The idea is to simulate as if it was actually the most severe cyber attack. Break in, get out, submit a report without the organization knowing. So with red teaming, the members of the red team, they would create a customized malware, get in, break in, exfiltrate data without being detected. So as mentioned, right, if it is you're looking at getting books, honestly, this one will teach you how to use Kali Linux, right? It will show you how to get into ethical hacking and penetration testing. It will show you how to build your own lab. So whether you start with the Cisco one or the Kali Linux one, there's actually a dedicated chapter that is designed to show you how to set up your own personal private penetration testing lab and your own personal private networking lab. But when you're learning hacking, you want to hack stuff, right? But you can't hack stuff that you do not own because it is illegal. So you build your own cybersecurity lab and do your testing there. Networking and building connections. So how do you meet like-minded individuals? Well, so far you guys know me, right? But what about like other people out there, right? So LinkedIn, start with LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, go and create one right after this webinar finish, update it, start connecting with people. Try to make like at least about 500 connections within the next 4 weeks with people who work within the cybersecurity industry. Don't feel intimidated if you are adding a CEO. You start to build connections, you share ideas, write an article probably once every 4 months on LinkedIn. Put a post on LinkedIn that is something that is given back to the community every week or probably every couple of days, right? People will start to see what you are doing and they will start to add you as connections. Many of my job opportunities that I've gotten over the past 4 years or the past 3 years was through LinkedIn. Yeah, and the recruiters actually contacted me and asked me to work with them, or they have this offer, or they have this proposal, and all this came through LinkedIn. And that's just showing you like how easy it is as long as you network yourself. And when you network yourself, look at people locally in the Caribbean, regionally, wherever you may live. If there's a job that you see on LinkedIn, you can look for the recruiter who posted a job and ask them more about it. I have done that, and they were so happy that I actually contacted them, that they set up a meeting and give me a full entire rundown of everything that actually entails the job, the benefits. And the funny part about it is those international recruiters is make you want to come to work for them, like literally. A simple example, I think it was last year, I had an interview with this really awesome company, and the guy was interviewing me in a t-shirt. He laid back in his chair. I think he had like a 3/4 pants or something, and the interview was really, really like laid back. And that's how things is, like example, right? Like now you have an online interview. Now we have the professional attire, but like this, right? If you are really good at social engineering, you could put on a suit and bypass security. Many years ago, I was working for this service provider company, and the company did not give us employee badges or uniform. And we needed to go to this certain large government organization, and we have to bypass security. Now my colleagues left me and they walked through the door and tell the security who they were. But the funny thing is this, right? I told the guy I was coming from a certain different organization, and where is the IT department? The security was so nice, he guided me and carried me inside the IT department without asking for any form of identification. When I literally reached in the IT department, the people didn't know who I was. I simply said I was from a different organization. They would say, cool, well, look our servers there, look our routers, look our firewall, and come, look the key. Yeah, right? Now, honestly, they trusted what I said. But to put simply, you could put on a shirt and tie, but what really matters is what is inside here, is your skills, right? Now, I'm not saying to wear like very informal clothing, right? You still try to look professional and stuff. What I'm saying is that you need to build your skills, right? And don't feel intimidated by getting an interview with an international company. They are very laid back and they will encourage you to work for them. Like literally, they will contact you afterwards and stuff, see if you're okay. They will probably tell you, okay, well, they could probably do a portfolio, give it to them. They will check it out. They will give you feedback to help boost your resume before they actually forward it to, let's say, the hiring manager. Just saying, like, there was this guy, he actually helped me improve my portfolio in 2 weeks before he actually carried it to the CEO. And he said the reason why is just that he wanted me to get a job. Like literally, like who does that? You know? Yeah. So what type of jobs you can get? You could get a lot of different cybersecurity jobs. These are just some that I listed here. It could be a penetration tester, overall security engineer, it could be an analyst, IT security administrator, right? It could be a cybersecurity consultant, malware engineer, and so on. Now, where do you go to find these jobs? Well, you could start with sites like LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn has an entire jobs section that you could actually go and you'd see jobs around the world, including locally too, and you'd see whether they will help you with a visa or not, right? And how to get started is that I simply open the jobs stuff here. Okay, I think I could probably do a search. I just type in the keyword cybersecurity, hit enter, and I should change this to worldwide actually. Okay, so I think because I'm not logged in, I wouldn't be able to see. Yeah, I think I'd probably need to like logged in. But you will see, you will not see 10,000. You'll see over 100,000 jobs in various companies. And the thing about this, what if you choose a company you want to work for and then choose a job inside a company? So if you imagine yourself working for Google, you click on Google page on LinkedIn, and you'll see all the jobs that fit your portfolio. And you'll see all the additional jobs as well. I highly recommend to also use Indeed. Indeed is really, really good, right, for international jobs as well. Each company have their own page, and you could choose a company first and then choose what type of job that you want to get in whichever region of the world. So right now, just by typing cybersecurity here, in Indeed, we get like 24,000 and something. And if you use various keywords, you can even get like more. Another thing that I highly recommend is create an online portfolio, right? Which is like personal branding. Like you need to put yourself out there. So for example, what I did is I ensured anyone Google my name, this is going to appear. Right now, eventually Google created here for me, but I want that everything on this entire first page, if a recruiter click it or anyone click it, they will see what my actual portfolio is. So let's say I clicked on, let's say Facebook, Instagram as well. You'll see Facebook page, you'll see what I do, stuff like that, and things like that. Plus, you could even create a website for yourself too, right? So what I also did, this is where it kind of helped me. So many people ask, okay, could you send me a portfolio of yourself or a biography? Well, guess what? Yours truly decided to create an entire website for himself and link my entire portfolio right here. So anyone go, they'll be like, okay, cool. This is the individual's resume. He probably did a cyber talk already. He has some write-ups. He probably have, and if someone write recommendations for you on LinkedIn, all that adds to your portfolio and personal branding. So once you understand how to utilize all of these things, opportunities is going to come to you. And don't feel bad to like network yourself with other people, right? The cool thing is like hacking conferences like DEF CON and stuff is now online, like literally. So you can look out to see when DEF CON, which is cybersecurity conference, is next online, and you can attend from home. Thanks to you guys, University of the Caribbean, as well to the audience and also my publishers for actually putting the advertisement online as well.